Okay, that's better. Welcome to Devotion to Promotion, where we are starting our sixth season and things are perfectly calm. No panic whatsoever. We have a lot of news to cover. It's July 1st. We're just starting our first season in the Sky Bet Championship, and kind of you could summarize this whole episode up in we don't have any players and we don't have any money. That's really what it's kind of amounting to. So we'll take this kind of a preseason episode where we take a look at what's left to be done with the squad. I'll give you a hint. Pretty much like everything. And then we take a look and see kind of prognosis what we could do, what we still need to kind of take care of, and then what the season's going to look like. But there's actually a lot of news to cover, and I found out that in a couple of ways I've learned some things. And generally what I mean by learning things is like in a football manager sort of way where I've made some really big mistakes and hope I don't make them again, kind of. I learned some things. So we'll talk about those, but let's jump right into the episode. There is quite a bit going on, the least of which is not, if we look up here under owner's status, got an email a few days ago, and it sounded like one of the ones before. Now, we've had this before. If you've been following the series the whole way along, you know that way back early on, it would go like in a process of a board takeover, and then it would go away, and it would come back, and then it would go away. But we haven't had one for like 3 or 4 years now, and we just had one. Email came in and said likely that the club's going to be sold or something like that. So that's there. Now that could be really good news because maybe the next owner would actually have some money, or at least have some money and be willing to spend it on the team, because we could certainly use it if we're going to try to survive. But with that, and my understanding is that you have kind of an embargo where you can't buy or sell any players, and it can be rather lengthy, which can in then turn kind of screw up your whole season. So I guess we'll find out. It could be really good news, it could be really bad news, or it could just go away. So, not much we can do about that. I am trying to push through a few signings that I might otherwise sit on a little bit, just because I want to make sure we have like a right back. Would be a good idea, I think, to start the season with at least one person who's played out there at some point in their life after like U8 kind of thing. So that would be good. So I'm kind of pushing through a couple of things on those lines, but we'll know more about that as we go on. But That I think was kind of the good news, bad news part. The rest I think is kind of bad news for the most part, but we'll see. So if we take a look at the thing I'm looking at right now is the idea here in the squad. If we look at, actually, let's go to our Sky Bet Championship and the standings here. We can see this kind of dynamic media thing, because the year's turned over. We've been placed in the Sky Bet Championship, and here is the media prediction: 23rd place out of 24th. The only team below us is Southend. Yes, who got promoted with us. Charlton, by the way, got promoted with us as predicted mid-table. I've added a few players in the past week or so, and this hasn't moved a bit. So I think there might be kind of a Grand Canyon between us and Rotherham right above us. So we have work to do. I would love to get this up. I'd love to get us like 16th, 17th at least by the time the season starts a month from now. So that's the mission. And along those lines, we have got some players. We've screwed a few things up. Well, I've learned some things. Let's put it that way. But we do have some players. So let's take a look at that. That's always good news, right? So if we go to home and transfers, here we go. So transfer history. We have 4 players in. This guy, Ryan Friend, is terrible. I don't know where he came from, why he's here. He just kind of showed up, and I think I did something. I don't know. Maybe there was alcohol involved. I don't quite remember. But anyway, we don't even have to see him. So I'd be curious what you think about this guy, Simon Walsh, because we signed him £1,700 per week. Super incredibly cheap. I don't know why so cheap. He came from Liverpool and Bristol Road. Liverpool, I think, owned him. He slots out at a championship league level. We've got like 4 or 5 players who've been kind of upgraded over the summer who now slot out at this level. That's a good thing. Great numbers, except for this. Natural fitness 6. I don't know what that. I feel like that's a fatal flaw, but I'd be curious, is that correct or not? But he was so cheap, and he was by far the best thing I could find at defensive midfielder. And just the fact that he would sign for us with that ridiculously low wage for the next 4 years, I don't get it. So I'd be curious if that's going to be really bad. Or I assume it just means he's not going to be able to play every match. He would have to sit out maybe a month between matches because he's in such terrible shape. But even if he could play a third of the matches, that would be pretty good at that level, I think. So be curious to see what you think about that. We did get Shane Flynn back, and he was on a loan last year. We signed him, and this triggers my first thing that I learned. A little bit more expensive than I was hoping, 4,400 pounds, but there were other teams hunting down for him, and he performed really well out there in the wing for us. And he's young and has upside that's championship level. So I thought, okay, most of the wages here are 10,000. Let's take a shot at him and see what happens. He slots out at League One, good player for League One. So hopefully, maybe with some playing time, he can develop into a championship level winger. But that brings a point. He was 4,400 pounds. Right after we signed him, we got a message that Kirby's wage just went up because he has a clause in his contract that he has to be the highest paid wage earner at the club. His contract just went up to 4,400 pounds. Yes, so that was a little painful, an extra 1,000-pound hit. And then shortly as the new year started, I got this massive email that said, all of these players that have promotion wage increases in their contracts, all of their wages are going up. Boom, like $12,000 hit to the salary. It's like, oh, 12,000 pound hit to the salary. And so the thing is, so last year when these players wanted to renew their contracts, sometimes it came down to like a yes or no, and I didn't want to raise their weekly wage. And so I thought, we're not going to get promoted this year, so I'll just bump up their promotion wage increase. I'm screwing them over. I got this down pat. And then we got promoted. And some of them are like 35% and stuff, and it's just nuts. So we went from 40,000 pounds per week to 60,000 pounds per week. And basically, we've only added this guy here. I think we added one more. Yeah, we added 3 players worth like 8,000, 12,000, 8,000 or so. So everything else went, and we lost some players. They went out. So we probably dropped about 12 to 15,000 pounds just on those promotion wage increases, which is really painful. We did get one more player, and I'm not super excited about him. He grades out at League One, but we didn't have anybody to play right wing. So I wanted to get someone in fast. And so 4,000 pounds per week, a little bit pricey, does have a pretty good upside. I like his numbers are just all kind of, I like where his numbers are. I just wish they all were a little bit higher. And I did in the offseason set the my yellow, green, blue metric one number higher. So 12, I used to have 12 as green at League One, but now I've turned it into yellow. And likewise, so just that I get a better visual representation, because I think we're going to need players that are better. So we'll see how Aaron Rowe does as things go forward. But that's it as of this point. I feel like, and one of the reasons why I have the paper bag out is that I feel like I'm not doing as well as I did last year, by and large, for the most part, because I can't find players. They want, and the thing with the whole Kirby, if I sign someone now for say 12,000, that means Kirby's wages go up by another 6,000. So I'm trying to renegotiate his contract to take maybe a little more of a hit. But he's mad at me because I tried to renegotiate it and was a little bit over-aggressive there. So I have to wait for that to clear out. So it's kind of a mess, because if we sign one player for 12,000, it's going to cost us 16,000, because it's more than that, 18,000. And we've only got 40,000 to work with. I've already committed 22 to some players that I may or may not take coming in. I've got some rough ideas on players that may work out here. I can't get free loans either. There's just nothing out there. And a lot of the loans are super expensive. Like, they have wages of 20,000 and they want, take 50% of the wages. So it's 10,000 per week, 10,000 pounds per week just to bring them in on loan. And that's crazy. We don't want to spend that much money for a loaned player that we're not developing. So I don't feel like that's a good route to go. I've got some cheap offers out, like this guy, Chark Grundman. Not overall so sharp defensively, but he does grade out at a championship level, and he wants a very reasonable salary. His numbers are pretty good, really young. So again, technique is a flaw here. I don't like a 6 for technique at this level. I feel like that's kind of asking for it. But I'm marking a 16 and marking a 15 and a tackling a 16. That's really good. And his physicals, jumping reach is pretty good and stuff like that. So I feel like he might work out, and he's really cheap. And if not, we could probably sell him. And then I've got a couple of loan players coming in here. So still trying to sort it out. In roughly, going forward, we still need another right winger. We need a right back. I've got one right back maybe coming on loan that I can cancel from Tottenham. This guy, Darren Davies. And not in a good attacking right back, but I don't think we're going to be doing a lot of attacking this season anyway. So I think he could work out at right back. He's a reasonable, I think, 4,000 pounds per month, per week in terms of a loan. And then a few other players here that we'll see how they go. This center midfielder, but we don't even, Kevin De Bruyne. Yeah, check it out. He's 34 years old now. Physicals are kind of falling apart, but he's still got it mentally and technically. He doesn't want to sign with us, but it's fun just kind of seeing if, having a contract negotiation with them. I thought that was kind of cool. But anyway, I'm not sure if there's too much else that we really want to mention in here. I've got notes on things we talked about. Don't know what's going to happen with the takeover. It's been about a month since we last talked. So going forward, I think that's really what we want to take. We got to try to bump up that number from 23rd place, right? We got to get this media prediction up. I'd love to be able to get it up into like 17 or 18. That would make me feel more comfortable starting the season. But we'll spend the next couple weeks going through and looking at loans, seeing if we can pick up some players on loans. I'd like to spend, we're at £60,000 now, like to get us to about 80, maybe £80,000 and save a £20,000 buffer for when we see players, opportunities that arise during the season. Because that really worked well for us last year, was to save enough to sign like 3 or 4 players during the year that turned out to be really good players, and we got them at bargain basement prices because they've been kind of languishing without a job for a few months. So that, I think, is going to be the same plan. Let's see if we can get some loans in, a couple more players, fill those big spots, get us to 80,000, see what happens with the board takeover, and then we'll go forward. We start off then, so we'll be back in let's see, a month. Sheffield Wednesday, we will be our first match, and hopefully we'll have moved that media ranking up a little bit, and we'll get this started. The other last thing I did want to mention is that I hope I haven't set us up in terms of kind of some time bombs here. If we do get relegated, most of these contracts don't have relegation pay cuts and stuff like that. We're just going to be in serious financial trouble if we get relegated too. And we don't have any money. We have £100,000 left in the bank. I feel like the train's just running out of track, and there's like the bridge is broken, and we're heading right for that broken bridge, and 100 miles an hour. And this season is going to be a 12-month episode where we just crash over that bridge, and then there's nothing left of the train, and we go find another club. So we'll see, though. Thanks so much for stopping by. If you've enjoyed the episode, please give it a like and stuff. And then if you're new, please consider subscribing. And as always, if you have ideas and tips on how to stop this train from crashing into the gully, let me know, because I am all ears. Looking forward to getting the season started, though. I mean, it's been a fun run. We've had, I mentioned the last time that I thought last season was the best season I've had in Football Manager and ever. And I think I've never had 4 promotions before either. So this has been 5 seasons to be where we are. I feel pretty good about that. And it's about, the light at the end of the tunnel. There might be an oncoming train or whatever kind of metaphor we want to use. But it's been a fun run. If it doesn't work out, we'll see how it goes. But I don't see a way out of this. Take care. Have a good one. See you at our next episode.